Welcome to the Corner Kick Show. I am your host, Nick Prokop. With me, as always, is... Don't all jump all at once.
Tyler at Protect Your Net.
My birth name is Joey Dinopoli, and you can find me on Twitter at Buckeye Italian.
And you can find me at Buckeye Nick7, and more importantly, at Corner Kick Show for the show. We are part of the Tangent Bound Network. TangentBoundNetwork.com is where you can find all the other shows on the network. I've been going through a lot of changes on the network, but very soon it'll be broken down in the find the other sports channel, the other sports shows on the network. All you click on is sports, and hey, we'll pop up, and other shows will pop up. Otherwise, subscribe on Stitcher and iTunes. Gentlemen, today we had news from the U.S. Open's. How do you say this? Adjudication and discipline panel. Yeah. So Clint Dempsey got his ban today. Essentially, it's a minimum of 2-year suspension. The way the wording breaks down is not exactly 2 years, though. It breaks down to the equivalent of 2 years worth of matches. So if for some reason Seattle loses the first match each year, this could actually last through 2021, when I feel like he'd be well out of the league anyways, and probably retired at that point. But do you deem this fair, gentlemen?
Yeah, I absolutely deem it fair because it's in the rules. I mean, it literally states you can't touch a referee and his equipment, and that's what Dempsey did. And Dempsey knows he did something wrong because in the same report, in articles, it says that he didn't file and doesn't intend to file any kind of appeal. So, yeah, I mean, it's a just punishment, I feel.
Yeah, no, anytime you see somebody grab the referee or grab the referee's notebook and visibly tear it in half, I don't know that you can dispute that, but maybe you can. I don't know. But I don't think he has a case. I think that the adjudication committee, whatever, I think they were within their right to ban him for that long. I think it's beautiful.
Yep. And I fully agree. I brought up earlier in other conversations that Cuauhtemoc Blanco, a former star for the Chicago Fire, he was ejected from a game versus DC United in the Open Cup, and as he was leaving the field, he headbutted an official from, it was like a technical staff member of DC United, and because of the fact that he was ejected and the physical violence towards a member of a different team, he had a similar ban in the way of being out for a 2-year suspension. But he didn't even last in the league as long as that suspension lasted anyway, so he was gone also by the time that came up. But it's fair. There's precedent for that in the U.S. Open Cup with another violent act. So I am very happy that they did this, and he kind of just went out and did what I call the Marshawn Lynch of apologies, and basically it was like, I'm sorry for my actions on Twitter a little bit ago, and I felt like it was very Seattle of him when you, like I said, in the comparison of Marshawn Lynch in the sense he's just doing it not to be fined. But yeah, I'm happy this finally came down. We knew that there was going to be something when we discussed the 3 games from MLS, that there'd be something else from U.S. Open also, which is definitely something good for the competitiveness of the U.S. Open Cup for someone that's egregiously done something wrong. But while we're talking about American soccer, let's move on to the MLS. And the MLS this week has been publicly promoting Rivalry Week, which for some teams in that case, yeah, it's Rivalry Week this week. But when I went through and looked, out of all the matches, which I think we had 10 matches, only half are Rivalry Weeks. When I think Rivalry Week matchups, I think of like college football where you have Ohio State and Michigan, you have USC, UCLA, you have all these other major matchups on the same day across the country. They could have. It's not like they couldn't make Chicago Columbus or the Rocky Mountain Cup or any of these other rivalries happen this week too. They're all playing other teams. They could have been put together Hell, we could have even had, like, say, RSL versus SKC as in, like, a secondary rivalry in some shape or form. But
wasn't that last week too? I mean, they did SKC.
yeah,
And
well, they had Rocky Mountain Cup last week too, didn't they?
no, we haven't played
Or-
a World Cup match yet.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah, we did. We did one, and it was a draw.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
a penalty that Dylan Powers missed, but that was 2 weeks ago.
But still, Wednesday you had TFC at Montreal. Friday you have the Texas Derby. Saturday you only have Super Classico with LA San Jose, and then you have on Sunday, which is why I think they have it, because I've been basically saying for a while now that MLS has a couple baby cities that they like to kind of promote, and you have on Sunday the matchups are Portland versus Seattle in the Cascadia Cup, and NYCFC and New York Red Bulls. It's basically because you have Cascadia Cup in New York on the same day in the schedule, honestly, in my opinion, just because they don't really care about the rest of the teams. They're really just trying to promote that Sunday national broadcast of, hey, come watch our teams that we want you to see. And that's how I feel on this. What are your guys' takes on, quote, rivalry week in MLS?
I'll go first. It's a joke.
Yeah.
We haven't really even been around long enough to consider ourselves rivals with anybody. I mean, sure, Rocky Mountain Cup I think is huge, but that's more for the fans than it is anything else. I mean, there's been a little bit of bad blood between the two clubs, but nothing like there was against the Dallas Burn early on in our organization. So for us, it's like it's cool and it's a nice rivalry, quote unquote, and we have a cup for it. But MLS, I don't know that they understand the definition of rivalry. I mean, everything they say is a rivalry. I think they build like L.A., New York City as a rivalry. That's not a fucking rivalry.
No.
They've never played together, and they've never built up anything. Just like they were talking about the what is it, the East River or whatever it is, the New York City FC one. The what?
You mean the Hudson River? Or?
Yeah, Hudson River rivalry. It's like, come on, man. Whatever. Total fabrication of everything. Like, they're forcing the fans into believing in these rivalries because they want it to be this crowd-drawing experience. It's pathetic.
Joe, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's just for their TV marketing ploy. You have to remember on Friday night it's Houston versus Dallas, so you know that gets its own national audience, and that's the name of the game is building a national audience. That's the whole reason why they started this idea of creating a super soccer entire weekend format with games on Friday and Sunday now, so they can push more of their brand out, by stamping a label on it and calling it rivalry week. They figured, I don't know, make us spike in ratings. But yeah, I mean, overall though, a lot of these teams could be playing one another, like you said, and it would be probably closer to a rivalry than not, which is pretty much where it sits right now. This is not rivalry week. This is rivalry for a few teams, but not an entire rivalry week.
Exactly. That's kind of my view on that. It's like you're only giving about half the league a technical rivalry week, so and even so, they're talking from Wednesday to Sunday, so it's like you have multiple days where you have chances to make more teams that are rivals play against each other. The two matchups, especially for someone like, say, RSL, you have them playing in New York and then at home versus Columbus on the same week you deem rivalry week. Why don't you have, like I said, either Rocky Mountain Cup, Sporting KC, something like that? That adds more fuel to this whole rivalry fire. It's just something that I just get so bad about with MLS because they are clearly placating to certain fan bases just to kind of sell the product in certain areas, and it's bad for me because I want to see it as a national brand, not just hey, we're just gonna go sell New York or we're gonna go sell Cascadia. Let's sell the whole league, not just certain areas of the league. But that's enough of me ranting about that. I will have something else to say about MLS later, bro. We'll keep it for a different segment of the show.
So we're not going to talk about Atlanta coming off the win?
Shut up.
Okay.
All right, so last night, gentlemen, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch this, but in Copa America, we had what basically I call Chile out Uruguayed Uruguay. In an interesting display and very shocking display of soccer, in the sense that you had a lot of different interesting moments, but most of all, Gonzalo Jara goes up against Cavani and basically gives him a shocker from behind, and Cavani comes out and slaps him. And before you see the shocker part, everyone was saying, "Oh, well, Cavani needs to keep his hands to themselves." And it's like, well, maybe Gonzalo should too. Apparently, Gonzalo's out for the rest of the tournament though for Chile, so that's his discipline for this move. But talking about the match-wise, honestly, I was expecting more because I felt like these two teams were fairly good teams, minus Uruguay's defense. But I just felt like there would be more attacking soccer. You'd see Alexis go forward. You would see the should-be suspended Arturo Vidal attack more. But I really just I didn't see enough, I think, out of either team. And so it was a really bland 1-0 finish for me. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see the match, but I mean, looking at Chile having like 80% possession on top of the 2 red cards that Uruguay had, yeah, and only mustering in a 1-goal victory. I mean, that sounds super exciting. Aside from the extracurriculars, I mean, speaking on the incident itself, like I don't know what I would have done personally. Mm-hmm. I guess I would have done more than slap the guy for the fingers on my hand. Because that's just I don't understand South American players. They do some of the weirdest shit. I mean, between them and Suarez biting people, I understand their tactics in South America. They try to do these kinds of things, to look and dirty, and I mean I don't know, it's just one poor sportsmanship, and we didn't even get to see at all yesterday. I'm not convinced Chile is a better team because of the result. I'm not. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about this match. I mean, it was just really fucked up, and the ref lost control. And,
pretty much.
Yeah. So.
Well, if somebody tries to put their finger in my ass without consent, I'm probably going to do more than slap a guy. Let's be real. I'm surprised he was as calm as possible. I mean, geez, you saw he got like knuckle deep up in that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get away with that? But whatever. Punishments have been doled out, and that's what matters.
Yep, and going on right now in the Copa America, I think they're in the 49th minute right now, but Peru's up 2-0 on Bolivia, and whoever will win this will face Chile in the semifinals. Not much to really say about this match, honestly, for me, besides that Jose Paulo Guerrero, former HSV Bundesliga striker, is the one with the 2 goals, and mainly because
that's awesome.
Yeah. Honestly, the reason why I'm looking at it I don't see whoever wins this game beating Chile to get to the final, honestly. So it's basically a cakewalk for Chile until they get to whoever wins out of the other side of the bracket. Your thoughts on Peru or Bolivia in the next round?
Well, obviously, it's looking like Peru is going to be in the next round. So, yeah. And I don't really think they have enough to match up against Chile.
No.
No, and if the Chileans are willing to bypass a drunk driving thing to keep their players in, I'm certain there are worse things going on there to allow them to advance. So.
Yep. Pretty much. Tomorrow we have probably the best match of the quarterfinals, Argentina versus Colombia. There's been some infighting in the Colombian national team about who should be playing striker because Falcao not playing too well, and you have guys like Carlos Bacca, Jackson Martinez, who have been pretty much better and had better seasons club-wise. Who do you guys think should be playing in this? And who do you think guys wins? Tyler, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I've heard a lot about these guys, obviously, but I don't watch a lot of Jackson Martinez and Baca film. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, I think Baca would be a great choice. Although, especially if the interest from Roma is real and they want to buy him, it would be good to at least showcase his talent on the international level to maybe raise the price. I don't know. Depends on the manager of the national team with the club manager. So, but it'd be cool to see him play. And Jackson Martinez is already sold, man. Which one's more in form? I don't know. So, go with Baca, I guess.
Joe?
Yeah, I like Jackson Martinez. I don't know. I've seen enough of his film to kind of get a good beat on him. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. I mean, I'm not really impressed with the other two, especially Falcao. So,
yeah, Falcao. We both know that he's not in form, so he shouldn't be in there no matter what.
Yeah. Carlos Baca I like the most, honestly. But go ahead. You're going to say something else, Roy?
I'd say it doesn't matter because I feel like Argentina's going to win this one anyway. That's
pretty much.
General feeling.
Well, I agree with everything that you just said, but I also agree that Carlos Baca probably is the most informed guy, and I believe he's at Sevilla right now, and that's why it's an interesting move if he goes from Sevilla to Roma. But hey, either way, he's in the Champions League for next year. But I really think that he's a better Colombian player. It's interesting to me when you think about some of the Colombian fans. There's a rivalry a little bit between the Colombians that live on the border, on the ocean border, and inland Colombians, because the inland Colombians actually think Falcao is the best striker for the team, and the Colombians on the border actually think that Baca on the coast should think that Baca is the better one. So I'm going to be a coastie right now and go with the Baca pick. But Saturday afternoon we have Brazil versus Paraguay. I feel like this is already going to be Argentina-Brazil in the semifinals, and likely whoever wins that semifinal wins it all, in my opinion. But Joey, what's your thoughts on Paraguay and Brazil?
Well, I mean, last time we talked about, where is Brazil going to find, offense from, without Neymar for the rest of the tournament. And then, they were able to find it with Willian and, what was the other?
Firmino?
Barrios?
Yeah, sure. So, the general point is that they have enough talent in their midfield, I think, to carry them. To go and play against Argentina, so I think that'll be enough. Sorry,
Tyler, your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't realize you were talking about Brazil there. That's my fault.
Yeah, Barrios
is Paraguay.
Yeah,
but I don't know, man. I don't think that Brazil's going to lose in this game. The quality of talent that they have is insane. I mean, so I don't know. I don't know much about Paraguay, obviously. I don't follow South American football as much as I probably should, so I don't know a lot of their players. But so
you mentioned half of Paraguay's top players right there, though. If you look at their striker partnership between Barrios and Valdez, they're probably the two best Paraguayans. But yeah, Brazil's gonna be able to win either 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that, and move on to the semifinals, which likely, like we just agreed, Argentina. I think it's going to be Argentina-Chile in the final, and Argentina will win. We will actually discuss the final on the next show, because at that point, the semifinals will be already done and dusted, and we'll be on to the final, which, like I said, right now, Argentina-Chile in the final. That's my guess. Do you guys have any proponents to that?
No. I'll watch that, though. I mean, that sounds like a really good final. But at the same time, I kind of want to watch these other ones too, just to get wrapped up. Because I haven't been enough in Copa America that I should be. Because I love South American football. Every time I watch it, it's gritty. It's really tough. It's almost too tough. In their buttholes. But You know, it's
Me personally, I kind of like watching the Brazilian league and the Argentinian league. They're both very entertaining leagues to watch. A lot of attacking midfielders and a lot of talented strikers. Any other thoughts on Copa America, gentlemen?
No, I mean I like Argentina versus Chile. I'll go with that.
Okay. Alrighty then. Well, let's move back into the USA and talk about a tournament that's going to be starting in just about a week, in the CONCACAF Gold Cup. I'm gonna give you my predictions of each group, and then we'll just kind of dissect them from there and give kind of like an idea of what we think the quarterfinals will look like, and then after that, we'll get a little more in depth in USA. But Group A, USA's group, I have in fourth place Haiti, third place Honduras, second place Panama, and first place USA. Tyler, any changes you would make to Group A, or any thoughts you have on how that would finish in the teams in Group A?
no, I don't have any changes to that at all. I don't really care because I feel like it doesn't matter what group we're in, we're going to advance.
Pretty
No matter
much.
what group Mexico's in, they're going to advance. It's
Exactly.
same song and dance all day, every day.
Pretty much. Joe, your thoughts on Group A?
I'm with you.
All right. Group B. Fourth place, El Salvador. Third place, Canada. And I'm having Canada as one of the third place teams. I should have said Honduras is one of the third place teams I have advancing, and Canada is the other third place team I have advancing. Jamaica in second place, and Costa Rica winning Group B. Joe, your thoughts?
So you're going Costa Rica, Jamaica, Canada, El Salvador, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm with that as well.
Yeah, I could get with that. Maybe Jamaica gets edged out by Canada. Maybe. But Jamaica did show well.
I gotta say, before we move on groups here, there's one point I would like to make about Costa Rica, as Keylor Navas is out for the tournament.
Ooh.
So their star goalkeeper from the World Cup is out. My guess is they're going to probably start former AZ Alkmaar goalkeeper Esteban Alvarado. We'll see who actually they play, so they have Saprissa as goalkeeper and someone else at the tournament. So we'll see what happens there. I really like this Canadian team. One thing that they've been really good at doing lately is getting some of the young talent in the squad, and they've been getting a lot of the young up-and-coming MLS guys that are kind of like dual nationals. Joey and I were discussing this the other day about Ethan Finley eventually maybe becoming a Canadian player, but as of right now, they have Canadian striker Kyle Larin, Tesho Ekindele. They have a couple of the youngsters from TFC and Ashton Morgan and Jonathan Osorio. I really, before we go on, just any thoughts on this Canadian team? Because I really like how young they're going and how quickly they can grow into a fairly decent team in CONCACAF, essentially in that second tier of CONCACAF teams where it's like Honduras, Panama, Jamaica, those teams that are usually consistently in that second tier of CONCACAF right after USA, Mexico, Costa Rica.
I mean, for me, Osorio is the player to watch for
Yeah.
Canada. I do like Tesho, obviously, but because he played at the School of Mines, I've seen him play a lot. But,
Yeah, you did.
With Canada, I think Osorio is going to be an integral part for the next 10 years, maybe. I mean, I really, really like his talent. I think if he can be groomed, either with Michael Bradley or the rest of their talent.
And that's perfect for him, too. He's got a really good USA midfielder right next to him to learn how to be a quality number 8 or something for the Canadian national team. Joe, your thoughts on Canada right now?
Well, just looking at their roster, only two things really stick out for me. Julian de Guzman being a part of it, but he's had several caps with him. But I'm just shocked to see him on Ottawa Fury FC. I didn't know that was a team.
NASL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. And then Larin as well. You know, he's a raw product with Orlando. He's shown he can be good at times, and then not so good at decision-making other times. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of raw potential with Canada. So yeah, I pretty much agree with you.
I think it's going to be interesting watching Ekindele, honestly, because I watched part of the Dominica U.S. The Dominica Canada game for World Cup qualifying, and they basically had Tesho as kind of a winger slash provider for Laren, who they had as the target forward, and honestly, he was really good setting up other people. I believe he had 2 assists, one of them setting up Tussin Ricketts, and another one I think setting up Laren, and then he got a goal himself in the 4-0 win. So he's definitely an integral piece for them, and I'm kind of glad he did take that, because he did get called up last year to USA, and it was pretty much obvious that, hey, we have a lot of depth in this position of guys that are at the same level as you or better. You might want to go to Canada. So I'm glad that he did and actually got called up, because think about it this way. If a guy like Teal Bunbury actually played for Canada like he should have, think about that on the wing too. You would have another talented MLS player playing for Canada and providing for Laren as the striker, or even partnering with Laren as the striker. So that's kind of a good sign for Canadians, and I think it could be a good team in the future. They're probably not going to be the 2000 team just because I don't see anybody that's like a Dwayne De Rosario type that could be Osorio in the future, but there's no one really that can be the number 10 stirring the drink in there for Canada. Group C, moving on. 4th place, Cuba. I have Guatemala 3rd, Trinidad and Tobago 2nd, and Mexico 1st. Tyler?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Like
Yeah.
I said, Mexico,
Yeah, they're going
all
to
the
get
run through,
exactly.
sing that song and dance. Oh well.
Yeah, we sound really boring today, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have to say the same thing as well, though. As you know, agreeing with Nick, not so much Tyler and his lack of enthusiasm.
Sure, no, I don't like it. It's just the groups are not all that exciting to me.
Well,
because
I get excited about watching the minnows play the
good.
minnows, honestly, or the second tier playing the second tier, just because I want them to get better and make this region better. Because if they're better, we're better. The world gives more respect to the CONCACAF region. As of right now, though, most people are thinking CONCACAF and thinking, "Hey, that's those people that take all that money."
Well, here's the problem to begin with, and I don't know, Tyler may agree with me or not, but at some point, I want to see Copa America and the Gold Cup both be combined.
I agree.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think it needs to be more unified between CONMEBOL and
Well,
because-
CONCACAF to be more combined.
Like, I mean, Bolivia and Peru isn't even that big of a draw for South Americans. Like, I feel maybe for Peruvians, but I mean, you put United States in there. I mean, it's a better match already. Like,
agree.
replacing Bolivia. You know, it's yeah. I know they want to do some crossover. Was it next year?
Yes.
With including teams, and that's great, and they're going to make a ton of money off of it and whatnot. But I mean, it should be an idea down the road. It should be.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And actually, someone brought up dissolving CONCACAF and CONMEBOL and making it one big federation. But I feel like for the World Cup qualifying, it's fine to be separate, so that you.
World Cup qualifying, let's keep it separate. That's fine.
Mhm,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
I completely agree on the off years for the tournament, just because you have the Euros in 2016 next year also. I would rather have something for the Western Hemisphere and have the whole.
Why not like an American Union? They have the European Union. Why not have the American Union? All these groups can get
Exactly.
Work permits or whatever for the European players and all that, and then also have some kind of shared tournament like the Gold Cup where we can make that work.
Yeah,
Some parts of the world, both North America and South America, are one continent anyway. So let's just make one tournament.
that was a fascinating discovery for you, Joey, about that. Yeah.
2 weeks talking to people and looking up stuff, and then at some point I stopped and wished I hadn't because.
So wait, so fill me in on this because I brought that up, right? So did you find out that people did actually think that then?
Yeah, I mean, most of the English-speaking world agrees that that they're two continents, but everyone else is very much in the agreement otherwise.
It's weird, right? That's
Yeah,
crazy to me too.
I literally spoke to my cousin Philip, who's in Southeast England, and he treated me like I had three heads. About North America and South America being different continents, and Europe and Asia being different continents, and yeah, so and he's like 18, so it just made me feel really bad about myself by the end of the conversation. Then I talked to my friend Rosa, who's from Italy, and she was very adamant about them being one continent. I'm just like, okay, there's a very large disconnection between parts of Europe and what they agree on.
Yeah.
And then I talked to a friend in the Netherlands, and she tells me that North America and South America and Central America are completely different from one another. Like they're
Jesus.
I'm just like, yeah. And then I got onto some anti-American Apatef site that just went on about how Americans are ignorant and arrogant, thinking that they have a continent all to themselves, and I've had enough.
It's gold. That's so gold.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're really the United States of America. Oh, the whole continent. Oh God! All right, back on track here. Oh, so if everything goes as predicted as I said, it'd be USA versus Canada, Costa Rica versus Panama, Mexico versus Honduras, and Trinidad and Tobago versus Jamaica. I think you could pretty much chalk it up to Mexico versus Jamaica, Costa Rica versus USA, and USA and Mexico eventually playing in the final. But Joey, I know you probably wanted to at least point out one thing because of some conversation you've had with people about, like, say, Panama and other teams in CONCACAF, that not to sleep on them at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people like sit down and look at this tournament and say, okay, you have three teams. You have United States, you have Mexico, and Costa Rica, and those are the three teams that have only all the shot in the world to win this, and that's great. I mean, I agree for the most part with that. The thing where I disagree with, though, is you look at the rest of the field and then you pretty much brush them aside. So in essence, there's people that think about this tournament in two tiers, and I think about it in three. So you have Costa Rica, Mexico, and the United States in tier one, and you have Panama, Honduras, and I feel like Jamaica might break through into a tier two team. When I say tier two, I mean a team that's probably not likely going to win it, but a team that could probably potentially cost a tier one team from winning it.
Yeah.
And let's remember the last one, Panama beat Mexico twice. And I understand Mexico had all their managerial problems, but let's not discredit them for going out there and beating Mexico twice. And they also took the United States to a wire in a game that everyone felt like they were going to just absolutely pummel Panama, and it was a 1-0 victory. I mean, won the Gold Cup, we're happy about that, but let's not look down at Panama and Honduras for the amount of grit that they play with. And I understand when I say that, too, that people are going to look down on Honduras for the amount of grit they play with. And, you know, the playing style that they do play with, people don't agree with. But as far as discrediting them, like I really look at it as a three-tier competition.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like Panama, actually, with Gabby Torres and
Yes.
what's that guy's name? Blas Perez from Dallas. I
Yes.
like them as a pair up front. They have a lot of talent on Panama.
Yeah, they
So
do.
you're not wrong, Joey. I think you're right. I still think that U.S. is still too strong, and I think Mexico is now coming back up into that strength. So I just don't know how that's gonna work.
Well, and Joey brings up that he feel the whole three-tier thing. I think it's very easy to break down who the teams are in those tiers, honestly, because the way I see it is, yeah, that first tier is likely USA, Mexico, and Costa Rica, and that's it. But the second tier is probably all the teams that make it into the quarterfinals. So, like, you're looking at, say, Jamaica, Canada, Honduras, those teams like that. And then you're looking at probably the third tier. And mind you, these aren't all the CONCACAF teams. There's more CONCACAF teams out there. But you're also looking at teams like Haiti, El Salvador. And El Salvador was in the hexagonal last time around, and they're a quality team. They just are very young now. Guatemala, Cuba. Those would be like the third-tier teams. And every so often, those, like I said, El Salvador was in hexagonal last World Cup qualifying. One of those teams often kind of makes a quick jump into the second tier of teams that could upset somebody until they get more consistent. Like I feel like Panama's on their way to being a more consistent squad and better building of youth talent. One of their younger players that actually is not in this tournament, unfortunately, because of an ACL injury, is actually playing in the Spanish First Division for Malaga right now, and he's a really good defender. So if he was there, I would say that they would definitely take down any of the bigger teams than them. But yeah, it's pretty much USA, Mexico, Costa Rica. That's about it. All right. Well, before we get on to the females, let's talk a little bit about the U.S. men's national team that are going to play in the Gold Cup group stages out of the 23. Anybody shocking to you guys before I read off the whole list?
Tim Ream, maybe. Alfredo Morales. Shock? I don't know.
Nobody shocking?
Not really. I mean, the fact that his name is Some Dirty Hippie on my computer is hilarious.
That was pretty hilarious.
I mean, if anybody wants to see that, if people watch this, that's a real thing. Be a part of that patch that I put in with the fake Salt Lake.
Some Dirty Hippie.
Yeah, apparently it just changes anything that's fake Salt Lake or Real Salt Lake and Kyle Beckerman. It must change both because I've never seen that before, but it does say Some Dirty Hippie, which I think is hilarious.
Joe, your thoughts?
I mean, not shocks. Other than players not on the roster, and I guess players that are. I guess that's a shock. I don't know. I'm rambling. So yeah, I mean, let's start with Chris. What the fuck, Olowski?
Yeah. I'm more pissed about that than shocked.
And I don't understand. Like, I feel like Bobby Wood probably deserves time over him by now. I mean, because let's face it, they both, when they up to this point, Bobby Wood hasn't had, I guess what you would say, a true competitive match. But
I get it.
He's in pretty good form right now, and Chris Wondolowski, the only time he scores is during some friendly as well. I mean, he is not a clinical finisher by any means.
No.
He's really lucky to mop up any poaching opportunities. But yes, I mean that's one. Brad Evans is another one.
Yeah, I thought he was done.
At first, I reacted to Tim Ream as well, and then I decided, well, I can't really think of any other center back I'd rather have, so I guess that's okay. And I know, Nick, you're going to tout him as the two-time Player of the Year for Bolton Wanderers, and that's great.
It's true, though.
But so, I mean, that's all my initial reactions. I wouldn't call them shocks, though, I guess.
All right. Well, to give everyone a list of basic what it is, we'll go up section by section and kind of talk about some of our thoughts for each group. But the goalkeepers are Brad Guzan, Nick Raimondo. Bro, I don't think there's a lot of shocks here. Guzan's clearly number one without Howard now. Raimondo's just a talented older head now in the setup, kind of like how Marcus Hanneman and some of the other guys used to be in the U.S. team as like kind of the older leader type of backup. William Yarbrough, I'm starting to really like this kid. Watching a lot of Liga MX and getting to know him a little bit better. He looks like a very fun goalkeeper. I don't know if he'll ever be able to dethrone Guzan, but he looks pretty good. Any thoughts on the goalkeepers, gentlemen?
I guess I would have liked to see Hamid get in there, but again, I don't know who you take off. Because, I don't know, I thought Guzan looked a little shaky, during the two friendlies.
Yeah.
But then again, he does have so much experience that, it's okay. I mean, I'm okay with goalkeeper selection. But in the future, I probably expect to see Hamid at some point.
Resident goalkeeper?
I would have just assumed take off Nick Raimondo, although he's a great goalkeeper in his own way.
Yeah.
He's what, 34, I think?
Something like that. He's
35. He's probably not going to see many minutes, if any.
No.
William Yarbrough is basically like a glorified call-up. So putting Hamid in there, you take out Raimondo. Hamid could be as serviceable as Raimondo, I think. He may not be as good, but he's not going to see any minutes anyway. So you might as well get Hamid in there and let him at least train with these guys who he could eventually play with, come, who knows.
All right, well, the defenders. Looking at Ventura Alvarado from Club America, John Brooks from Berlin, Timothy Chandler from Frankfurt, Evans from Sounders, Elmar Gonzalez from LA Galaxy. Interesting, he's listed as a defender, obviously probably starting as a fullback. Fabian Johnson from Borussia Mönchengladbach, and two-time Player of the Year from Bolton Wanderers, Tim Ream. And honestly, before I go any farther, you're two-time Player of the Year for a team in the English Championship. You got to be somewhat decent, at least on the club level. So get a look again at the national team. I don't think he's going to start, honestly. And honestly, I'm very happy with the call-up of Alvarado and Brooks, because even though Alvarado's had some gaffes here and there, as a young pairing, I like to see this, especially early in the World Cup cycle, to kind of get them some time learning each other, because I think they could both be really, really good center backs. And by the time the next World Cup comes around, they'll both be pretty much in the middle of their primes. So I feel like that's a good time to get them started early and getting used to each other playing on this stage. What are your guys' thoughts, Tyler? I'm going to start with you.
With the defenders?
Defenders.
I don't love Brad Evans coming in. I think that's a waste of a call-up. I don't see why you would call him up over a good young player, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I'm not familiar with the pool well enough. I don't mind Omar Gonzalez getting called up as a center back. He'll probably start. I like John Brooks. I do like the Ventura Alvarado pickup. I would like to see him play more. Tim Ream, as you said, is good. We'll go with good. I must say I have not watched Bolton enough to comment as to whether or not he's a good center back.
It's not like we're calling in Tyson Wall, guys.
No, I know.
We're calling in Tyson Wall or Zach Scott. Both of those are definitely staying home. Yeah. Joe, your thoughts on the defenders?
I mean, yeah, I already said he's not Brad Evans. I don't understand why he was included. Like I said about Tim Ream, at first I was kind of like, what the hell? And I mean, is Matt Beasler even on the roster, or is he?
No. But after the group stage, you can call him back in.
Yeah, he's on the preliminary 35, so he can be added. Up to 6 players can be added after the group stage. So it might be that he starts Alvarado and Ream just to see what he's got with them, and maybe Evans at right back just to kind of give a look at him, but then bring in someone like Beasler into the actual quarterfinals. But yeah, it can, the roster can change. He did this last time. He had Oguchi Onyewu and somebody else at center back, and then he brought in Beasler and Gonzalez for the quarterfinals throughout the rest to the final in 2013. Moving on to the midfielders, though, Kyle Beckerman from Real Salt Lake, Alejandro Bedoya from FC Nantes, Michael Bradley from Toronto FC, Brad Davis from Houston Dynamo, Mick Stisker, New York City FC, Alfredo Morales, Ingolstadt, DeAndre Yedlin listed as a midfielder from Tottenham Hotspur.
Not on the website. He's listed as defender.
Really? Because I'm on the U.S. Soccer website right now from the initial list.
Yeah. So mine, Sweet Pea here. I'll send you the link.
Well, I'm on the original call-up list, and it says midfielder. DeAndre Yedlin.
I'm on the. If you click on the more detail.
So let's move on to the midfielders.
Well, Yedlin doesn't play defender with Klinsmann's system. He's always a right winger.
Ladies,
To finish off the midfielders, he has Josh Cesarez listed as a midfielder.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Graham Zusi as the final midfielder from Sporting KC. Gentlemen, midfielders, what do we think, Joey?
I think it's a really, really quality group. Honestly, I don't have any. I don't have any argument against anyone that was chosen and selected. Their position might be wrong, but that's the extent of it. So.
Tyler, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, the midfielders I actually kind of like. I mean, it's got a good mixture of proven players. The only one is Brad Davis. He's not having a great season. But I do like the mixture of having, Alfredo Morales coming in. He's a little younger, trying some new things out. I like Bedoya, obviously. But then you've also got the Some Dirty Hippie. His call-up has been huge. So I think having the mixture of youth and experience is good to bring those younger guys like Dick Smith squad come through the system.
Well, and like we said, there's only 6 changes, so you figure some of the veteran guys are going to be definitely around for those later round matchups, especially Some Dirty Hippie Kyle Beckerman and Michael Bradley, obviously, who I think is probably going to be wearing the captain's armband now. I don't know if Clint will have it or not for this tournament, because honestly, I feel like even if Clint is, I feel like at this point in time you should start thinking about the future and who can be a long-term captain. I feel like looking at this midfield shape, you're probably going to see more of that 4-1-3-2 he used in the friendlies, with Beckerman kind of as that 1, and Bradley in the middle of the 3 with either a mixture of Bedoya, Zusi, Diskerud, and the outside, maybe even Zardes, and if he's not used as a striker. But yeah, I like this group. It's very good diversity. You have the age, you have the youth. You have inexperience, you have experience and experience, so it's a very good diverse group for the Cup, and hopefully some of the younger guys get a little bit more playing time early on just to get some confidence up.
As an aside, do you guys, when you hear Mick Diskerud's name, do you not hear that remix of the MLS SAP thing where they're like, Dick Smith Squad, Dick Smith Squad. They said his name is Dick Smith Squad like 5 times.
Paul Caligari, he's great for a shot to get us into a World Cup in 1990, but
Dick Smith Squad,
that's about it.
You should hear it. If you haven't heard that remix, go check it out.
I'll have to hear it again. I think I know what you're talking about. That with Paul Caligari.
Every time I hear his name, all I hear is and Dick Smith Squad, and it's always like Dick Smith Squad. I'm like, that's not even close. You're not even trying.
God. That's too funny. So the final list as the forwards, as Joey mentioned earlier, Chris Wondolowski from San Jose, Aaron Johansson from AZ Alkmaar, then Clint Dempsey from Seattle Sounders, and Jozy Altidore from Toronto FC. Thoughts on the forwards, gentlemen? Tyler.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay. I'm going to be real here. I don't like Clint Dempsey, and I don't like Chris Wondolowski getting call-ups here. First of all, Clint Dempsey, I've never really liked him. It's probably personal, if I'm being honest, but I just don't like the way he plays. I really don't. In fact, he's off-putting, just the way he looks, but also the way he plays is off-putting to me as well. Chris Wondolowski, I would have rather had them called up Bobby Wood. And you know how I felt about Bobby Wood, 3 weeks ago. So if they called up Bobby Wood, at least then they could say, hey, know what? Those warm-up games actually meant something as a tryout for him to get into the team.
And when they announced the 35, Bobby Wood actually wasn't even on the 35. They basically said that they didn't want to bring him in because he has an interesting he has an interesting situation right now for club soccer, where he's probably going to leave Division 2 and end up on Stuttgart. They're saying the deal is done, but nothing's officially been announced. So basically, they were saying, hey, you should go work out with Stuttgart, get your club situation in order, and then we'll be calling you up in the future for other USA matches. And I kind of understand that, especially when you're in a transition from one club to another. You kind of want to get going and get gelling with the team you're going to be playing with more over the next year. Joe, your thoughts other than Krista Wondolowski that you already mentioned in the shock pickups?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, I don't know why he's there.
Yeah.
So,
one thing I want to say about the forwards before we move on to the important tournament going on right now. Josie Altidore and Aaron Johansson, that needs to be the starting duo in my opinion. Not so much that early on, especially not so much as a knock on Clint Dempsey and his ability, but it's more I want to see Aaron break out. He needs to step up and show what he can do against our local teams and the teams he'll play against when qualifying, especially if that's going to be a duo come the World Cup qualifying. If you're going to see in the group stage of the World Cup qualifying Josie Altidore and Aaron Johansson, I want to see them play now too, just so they can get used to each other and play the teams that they're going to need to be familiar with. Especially if you're going to have someone like Michael Bradley kind of setting up with the bombing forward passes that he can set up with Josie. And maybe Josie can kind of get a little 1-2 going with Aaron. But that's kind of my view on that. Moving on to the most important tournament right now, the FIFA Women's World Cup. We are now at the quarterfinals. And tomorrow starts off with Germany versus France, which to me feels like a final matchup played in the quarterfinals. I like this matchup a lot. I feel like Germany's going to win it, honestly. Even though I really like the French team, and I think they're very good attacking. I just feel like Germany is too good defensively, and they'll get enough goals to get by and beat France. Joey, what are your thoughts on Germany-France?
Yeah, I mean they're both teams that can score a good copious amount of goals, but Germany is just overwhelming. In all facets of the game, I see them moving on as well.
Yeah, this is a game I'm intrigued by, obviously.
Yeah.
Having not watched Germany or France other than when they played the U.S. Prior to this tournament much, Germany's obviously put up a lot of goals here. But France has actually been really good too.
Ivory Coast inflation. Ivory Coast inflation.
Right. Okay,
Gotta
that's
remember
fair.
that.
I forgot about the Ivory Coast.
It's only 9 goals if you count out the 10 they scored in one match. Just saying.
Whatever. Yeah, no,
Cut
it's
in
fine.
half.
I'll count the Ivory Coast coefficient on its own. But anyway, my mind is telling me Germany, but my body's telling me France. I'm having this kind of weird R. Kelly dichotomy.
I don't want to know.
That's I don't know. Yeah, no, we'll call that. So now we have the Cote d'Ivoire, the Cote d'Ivoire coefficient, and the R. Kelly dichotomy. two things you can add.
God, we're going downhill fast.
But no. I want to pick France here, man. I don't want to be contrarian for no reason, but I want to pick France. I think that they've got it.
So Tyler has France, Joey has Germany, I have Germany. I honestly, as a USA fan, I want Germany, honestly, just because I feel like if it came to a gritty matchup between the two teams, and to shut up kind of the haters and stuff, even though I hate on USA too, I feel like if it's a gritty matchup, USA would be able to match up well against Germany and win, say, a 1-0 matchup against them. Joey, did you want to say something on this match before we move on to the next one?
No. Okay.
All right. I thought you wanted to say something for a second. But as we are talking about USA's potential opponent, USA versus China, the matchup of the final from the 1999 World Cup final. I really like this matchup. I think it's going to be good testing some of these people that are not named Megan Rapinoe or Lauren Holiday. It'll be good to see maybe someone like Heyo, because I really want to see Heather O'Reilly get a chance out there. She was really, really good in the 2011 World Cup. She was really good at bombing forward, dribbling, and getting the ball into Abby Wambach and some of those goals that Abby made in the last World Cup. So I really feel like if she gets out there for this next match, she'll really show her quality. And I kind of made a 4-3-3 of my own in the sense of keeping the back five the same. Then I had Morgan Bryan and Heather O'Reilly kind of like right in front of Carly Lloyd. and then having Press and Morgan on the wings of LaRue, because I feel like LaRue would be a good hold-up striker, because she does. See, if you watch her game, she's perfect for the hold-up striker role. She might not be like as crazy good at the headers as Abby is, but you watch her with the ball and trying to hold up play to get people into the box. That's even more key than just heading the ball. She's very physical too as a forward, so I feel like she's kind of the key if they want to. And she didn't even play in the last match, so I really feel like they do play her against China and maybe even start, and then maybe bring in Abby later on. I don't want Abby Wambach starting at all whatsoever in this match. Joey, what do you have on USA China?
I expect USA to win, but again, this is another platform for them to prove that they can be on par with Germany before they actually meet up with them. I felt like the victory over Colombia was okay.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for them to put everything together. Like I hate to tread on the idea that they should be absolutely demolishing teams. But I'm just expecting something more than 2 goals a match at this point. And they're going to have to prove it without Rapinoe getting involved too in this match. But I fully expect them to get the job done. It's just by how much is the question. I mean, to go and face Germany, they're going to need a lot of confidence going into that. And if they're going to win 1-0, 2-0, I don't think that's going to do well enough service for them.
Tyler, your thoughts?
Well, with regard to your 4-3-3 setup there, Nick, I would agree with you. It's just that I think Jill Ellis is confusing Sydney Leroux with DeAndre Yedlin, where it's just, hey, put your head down, run to the end line, and then dump it inside. It'll be great, I swear. I think that she only thinks that Sydney Leroux can run fast and is physical. And so she treats her like this kind of come-off-the-bench basket hoops player who can come in and give you a spark toward the end of a game, and it's annoying. But I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I like the idea of having a 4-3-3, but I think no matter what we go up against with China, I think we'll win. But I think the next game, that impasse is going to be pretty tough to get by. Whether it's France or Germany, it's going to be almost impossible, I think, for us to get by that. But I would like to see it, obviously.
They need to unleash the beast, basically, and it feels like they need to play more as a team. Is the best way of putting it. It seems like in the last few matches, it's like, oh, well, we need to feed Abby. We need to feed Abby. Everything needs to go through Abby. And it almost seems like Jill Ellis isn't putting her in her place or anything, and Abby runs the team, in my opinion. The way it feels is that Abby is basically the manager and captain of this team, even though she just has not shown that she's good enough this tournament. Yeah. It's a fact. She's only scored 1 goal, and it was almost lucky that she scored it. And
that was a hell of a strike. Let's not take that away. I mean,
I'm not trying to take it away. I'm not trying to take it away. And honestly, if she doesn't score that, what does it look like right now?
Right.
You know, if she doesn't, she has no goals this tournament, and we look even worse.
No, I agree with you and Joey that she should not be starting. There's no way. You don't look at that roster and go, you know who should start? Abby Wambach right now.
You have so many talented strikers. You have the 3 I already put in that 4-3-3 kind of setup, and you have because you have Kristen Press, you have Morgan, you have LaRue, you even have Amy Rodriguez, who is pretty good too. Like, I mean, like, I'm not trying to like throw some shade on Amy or anything, but like she would be starting for a lot of these women's national teams. So I just feel like they really need to stop making it all about Abby and playing as a team. And another point I made when we were hitting corners, it seemed like Rapinoe or whoever else was hitting the corners would only look for Abby on the corners.
Yeah, no, always.
You have a girl like Julie Johnston who scored a couple goals on corners, on set pieces, in the pre-World Cup matches.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to target Julie Johnston too? What?
She almost had one, but it was like a flub that went to Abby, and then it fell right to.
Yeah, but it seemed like every corner kick, though, it would either be in the same vicinity of Abby or being towards her. And it just needs to stop. And Carly Lloyd keeps saying, oh, well, we haven't shown our best. We haven't shown our best. Well, show it. This is the perfect match to show it.
Do we think that Heather O'Reilly is going to play? Is that kind of a?
I feel like she needs to.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Needs to, because you need a dribbler, and that's kind of like, and she's faster than Rapinoe.
Yeah.
She might not be as good as Rapinoe when it comes to, say, crossing and certain other things like goal scoring like that Rapinoe does, but she is a really, 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 really good dribbler, and actually
she's frightening. Let's be real. When you watch her run, she scares the shit out of me as a player.
And here's a stat for you. She led the team in the last World Cup in the whole take on 1v1 scenario.
She's the Phil Jones. She's the Phil Jones of Women's World Cup. Her facial expressions make me want to cry. I'm being honest. It's scary.
But yeah,
not just physical perfect. She's running. She gets into it, and she is actually a pretty good crosser of the ball.
Yeah.
I thought.
So we're not taking up too much time. On to Sunday, and the other side of the bracket, we have Australia versus Japan and Canada versus England. Let's start with Australia versus Japan. There's a lot of people saying we shouldn't be shocked that Brazil lost to Australia, which Brazil was a heavy favorite coming into this tournament. They were up there with Germany and USA, so to play as bad as they did, it's a disgrace to the game itself and the women on that team. But hey, Australia won. They earned it. They're there. And now they have the task of beating the cup holders right now, who look amazing against the Dutch in a 2-1 win. I think Japan's going to win it, but Tyler, what do you have on this? What do you think?
Well, you mentioned the 2-1 win over Netherlands, but you failed to mention that it was a 2-0 and then some kind of weird fluky goal. It wasn't even like 2-1.
That's what I'm saying. Japan won that thing.
Is their goalkeeper normally that poor, or was that just a weird fluky?
I'm thinking it's a fluke.
Okay, so I mean, because if they're that bad, I mean, really, Australia almost took it to us. Let's be real. I watched that game, and without Hope Solo, we wouldn't have been in that game. There's no way.
Agreed.
So if she's that poor for Japan and that's not a fluke, I don't know. This could be a high-scoring affair. 5-4 Australia.
Okay.
Who knows?
Wow.
But I still think Japan gets through. I still see Japan.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Joey, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I really believe Australia put in a really good defensive performance against Brazil. I mean, obviously clean sheet aside, but they did everything possible to cut out chances to their ability, and they proved victorious on a goal that maybe shouldn't have even happened for Brazil, or against Brazil rather. If you remember, Australia's goal came off of a deflection.
Mm-hmm.
The goalkeeper pushed it, right in front of the Australian player, which I forget her name right now, but
Kiyosaki.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
I mean, I'm actually looking towards this being a defensive type struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Japan is very machine-like. I mean, just very well organized and calculated in their attack. I think Australia is going to have enough to batten down the hatches for a good portion of the match, maybe even through 2/3 of it. But I see Japan going through.
Well, I'm going. Well, Tyler, you said Australia going through?
No, I said Japan, but
if
their goalkeeper is that bad, which I don't think she is.
Well, I guess I'm going to be the minority then here, because I actually think Australia can win. Joey just mentioned the battening down the hatches, and that's one of the key reasons. I think, honestly, from watching Australia closely in USA's group and watching them play Brazil, I feel like they're the best counter-attacking team in this tournament right now. And if they can hit a great counter on Japan and score a goal and grind it out, that is going to be a massive key for them going forward. and probably make them victorious in this matchup. It's so difficult to do this right now because I'm putting my hat towards the Matildas, even though I know Japan is so silky smooth with the passing, and like Joey said, a machine. They're technical beyond belief. So I just feel like Australia has got them in them. I feel like they're like the lovable. I don't want to call them underdogs because they're a good team, but in this comparison, they're gonna be the underdog going into this matchup. So I really would like to see them win this, beat whoever wins the other matchup, and get to the final, and then lose to USA again. No, yeah, I like this matchup too. This matchup and the France-Germany matchup are the two I'm really excited to see, and hopefully we get a good game out of this and not Japan just blowing out Australia. On the other hand, we have the hosts versus a resilient England. One thing I wanted to say is I'm very disappointed that the Norwegian national team is not there because they are a traditional powerhouse and one of the 4 national teams to have won a World Cup for the females. So I was really hoping to see them kind of bring the magic of the 90s Norwegian teams and make a deep run into the tournament. But c'est la vie, and England wins, and they get to play the host. This matchup's hard for me to rate right now. And before I say who I think is going to win, I'm going to let Joey break down his winner of this matchup.
Well, collectively thinking about this entire tournament up to this point, Germany and France aside, a lot of these teams are where they are right now because of defense. And Norway's not in it because of their defense. If I remember correctly, they went out to a 1-goal lead, right, and then they gave up 2.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's why they're not here. Is because they gave up goals. Despite having a lead themselves, and they could have very much been one of those teams that progressed with a 1-0 victory. I mean, it's all over the map. But yeah, I mean, Norway was really disappointing. I want to give credit to Canada over their victory over Switzerland. I know people look at it and say, well, it was a very narrow victory, and I think we talked about the Ivory Coast call for multiplier aside. Switzerland had that with Ecuador. But, I mean, Switzerland's a team that can put up goals, and to limit them to nothing, I think, is a great performance on Canada's part. And at that same token, I completely discarded, Canada playing in front of their home fans and everything. And, again, I felt good about Switzerland. So England versus Canada, it's hard because England showed a lot of resolve and Canada's a really good defensive team. But with the home match involved, I'm going to go with Canada.
Tyler?
Yeah, I have to agree, Canada. I mean, you're putting up against the perennial bed shitters versus the home country. So for me, how do you bet against Canada in this match? I don't know. I mean, literally everything that England joins, every tournament, they always shit the bed.
Yeah, pretty much, and this is about the spot they do.
Yep, exactly. So it's perfect timing. I mean, really, the England women haven't looked that bad. I mean, they beat Norway 2-1, but I just feel like they're going to hit that wall.
Probably.
And Canada's the home team, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to agree. And I thought it was nice for England to beat a traditional women's powerhouse and make it into the quarters, especially when everyone pretty much wrote them off beforehand. It seemed like once Norway got that lead, they were like, well, Norway's done it again. They're just going to grind it out. We'll see it all. I don't want to see Canada do that because that's one thing, as I said about Australia versus Japan, that's one thing Canada's really good about too, is getting a goal and then grinding out the finish. But I feel like they're a better defensive team, and I think that Canada is going to win this and likely make it to the semis at least. Well, that would be the semis after this, but they would at least get to the semis and then play in at least the third-round game. I don't know if they'd make it to the finals, honestly. I would, in a way, I would like it be in the finals, because then you'd see USA versus Canada rivalry match in the final. But I don't know if that'll happen. But I could see a good semifinal matchup between Canada and whoever wins Japan Australia. But that's pretty much it for this segment of the show. Let's move on to our weekly rants. And Joey, I want to start with yours.
Okay, so during the Europe U21 tournament, we went into the final matches of the group stage with Italy playing against England and Sweden against Portugal. Italy did everything possible to give themselves a good chance to advance, even scoring 2 goals within 2 minutes, a span of 2 minutes, to put them ahead of England, and a third one later on. The Portugal-Sweden match itself was something that was very contradictory to the sport. I know that people want to applaud, the intellect of playing it safe and, low risk and high reward type thing. And basically, Sweden and Portugal, all they had to do was play to a draw for them both to advance, and that's exactly what happened.
That's
they were
horrible.
later in the match. It took a while. But most of the match with both teams sitting far back and behind as much as possible. And then with Portugal basically running out the last 4 minutes with 74 consecutive passes, most of them back passes, that's how it ended. So I'm sure that was well worth the ticket price. And, I don't feel it's really within the competitive nature of the game. You go out there and I guess try to win. Just the fact that you risk losing. I mean, that's why you play to begin with, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So the other half of it is the Italian response to it, and more or less regarding Stefano Sturaro and the Milan vice president Adriano Galliani. First, Sturaro came out and said that dogs celebrate on the corpses of lions, thinking they've won, but lions remain lions and dogs stay dogs. So he basically called Portugal a dog. And as I said before, Milan's vice president came out and said, we have as many points as the players who are blonde and beautiful, but we are darker and not as beautiful. Like, I don't know what these fucking two things mean. If you're so bent out of shape about it, I mean, Italy should have beaten Sweden or Portugal. I mean, or they should have beaten Sweden. But you don't come out and say these things because you're pissed about not progressing. Because, I mean, let's face it, I look down upon what happened between Sweden and Portugal, but I'm also not going to say that anything should be changed, because when you talk about that, you talk about things like shot clocks and shit that don't even belong in the sport anyway.
Exactly.
I just really want to see people being naturally competitive without being forced to do so. And that's my rant.
I agree with that. I completely agree. I can't believe it. I hate when teams do that, where they just play to a draw just so they can get both through. We heard last World Cup about the draw that happened that screwed Algeria way back when, but I just hate whenever teams do that. And I'm gonna go on my rant. I actually have 2 minor rants. My first rant was gonna be about Seattle Sounders fans and their reaction to our first topic of the day of Clinton Dempsey. Basically, Seattle fans, relax. All I saw on Twitter was, you don't have to apologize. You were well within your right to do what you did. And it's like, I seriously saw at least 2 or 3 fans say something along those lines, and I just was like, okay, yeah, so let's just go on the field and rip up every ref's book and act like an idiot on the field every game. Cool! But the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is just so lame, and it's not because everyone will point out, oh, well, Nick's a Manchester United fan, so that's why he doesn't like teams taking United. No, it's not that. It has nothing to do with that. It's lame to just go lazy and call yourself Atlanta United FC. How long did you think about that? Come on! There are so many options that could have been used for this. They could have had any possible names. There were so many jokes flying because of Atlanta being so lame in this scenario. It's like, and I'm going to let Joey say his idea because it was the best idea, and it's pretty much, I don't want to take credit for what he called it, but there could have asked somebody creative to come up with things, and they could have even polled fans to say, hey, what do you think of this? You would probably have anywhere from 7 to 9 out of 10 saying, hey, this sucks. It's lame, it's boring, and it's the same old shit. And I didn't really tear into Minnesota because Minnesota's at least been Minnesota United FC for a little while now, but a new team getting a bland name like Atlanta United FC. Really? Yeah, couldn't have thought that through at all. But Joey, I want you to say what you called them earlier because that was the best personification.
Oh, I called them a lot of things, but I think you're referring to Atlanta. Was it DGAFC?
Correct.
Yeah, fuck club.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair representation of their creative process and their general feeling towards attending sporting events to begin with.
Exactly. Atlanta don't give a fuck club. That's what you are, Atlanta, and that's what you always will be. Although I was talking to a friend of ours on Twitter earlier today, and we were joking about, we can't wait for Arthur Blank to be on the sideline there yelling at the fourth official and giving hugs to players being subbed out like he does for the Falcons. So we'll see what happens there. Home Depot FC, for me, is what I would call it just because I don't care. But,
I'm sorry to butt in.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So if we're talking about things that Arthur Blank can institute into the soccer team, from the Atlanta Falcons, how about simulated crowd noise as well?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's beautiful. RSL already does that, man.
Yeah, and
type in their music and stuff.
I just want to explain why this is so stupid. I know that you're giving a free pass in Minnesota, but let's look at this for a minute, okay? So teams are called United. DC United. Okay, so it literally represents the country's capital, and it also unites the areas of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and DC. So DC United, cool, got it. Cool. Minnesota United, 2 cities, the Twin Cities United, got it. Honestly, even like if Kansas City were to, if they went with like Kansas City United, that would even make sense because there's Kansas City on both sides of the border of Kansas and Missouri.
I'm still waiting for the lacrosse club team though.
Atlanta. I mean, I don't understand. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
Not to mention that there's already a club in Atlanta called Atlanta United FC. No big deal.
Well, obviously they're not going to take Silverbacks because that's the NASL team there. But
every other NASL team just got promoted. Who cares?
Tyler, do you have any thoughts on Atlanta United FC?
No.
Their wonderful name.
That's pathetic. I mean, it's not like other leagues don't have multiple Uniteds, but as Joey said, they usually have some kind of reason behind it. Newcastle, Manchester, there's some reason behind it being United, and they play each other. It's not that big a deal. But you have DC United, now we'll have Minnesota United, now Atlanta United. It just seems like they're not even trying.
And as Joey mentioned, the whole point of United in the name is uniting some shape or form, either bringing two teams into one team or uniting an area kind of thing. That's the whole point of it. But it's so bad. They didn't think about this. And part of me prays that they have a rebrand before they even kick off in 2017. In all honesty, but
Oh my God,
Tyler,
it's dumb.
You're up, buddy.
Well, my rant, I wanted to talk about video games mirroring life, because right now it seems to me that all these clubs are, specifically Liverpool, and that's fine, are buying players that are really good on FIFA and Football Manager, which is great. You know, Prozone is actually the data usage for Football Manager, so I get that. It's a scout tool that people use, and it's a great way to scout players. But I think we need to bring in the reins a little bit, especially with Brendan Rodgers. It's like he's literally going by and looking at who the best players are in Football Manager, and he's buying those players. I mean, you look at Firmino. On top of that, you have Joe Gomez, who all turn out to be great epic players in 2020. You know, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't gone after Yuri Tielemans, Eder Alvarez Balanta.
Well, Balanta is a special case.
Right.
I believe River Plate has certain clauses in his.
Well, he'd have to have a European Union work permit.
Yeah,
so
and a Colombian playing in Argentina doesn't really help much.
Right, exactly. So then you have Luka Jovic. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason that he's going after all these young players, but it's just coincidental that Liverpool and Everton both have an agreement with Prozone and Football Manager to use them as a scouting tool. But it's just funny that it's now actually coming to fruition that they bought Lazar Markovic last year, Emre Can, two players that are pretty prominent in the Football Manager world. Now Joe Gomez. It's weird. I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie, because it's kind of what I would have bought too as an in-home manager. But it's funny to me that that's happening, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Ings, man, championship.
Right. Maybe it means that people can actually learn how to manage through Football Manager or something. But I think it's fucking crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, if it works, hey, whatever.
All right, gentlemen, that's it for this week. Next week we'll likely be talking about certain finals in Copa America and finals in the Women's World Cup. But till we meet again.
See you, suckers.